following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
We're talking 2021 faves and fades for fantasy football, the NFC West. The Los Angeles Rams are a team that we have high hopes for.
I really hate that there's no Cam Akers.
Cam Akers being gone from this team is definitely going to hurt. They're going to have to find another option.
The only thing we agree on in this whole damn division is Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you have Stafford now in terms of quarterback rankings?
I think he would be 9.
You're too low.
I'm too low?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I had him at
that's a
10 before the Akers injury.
Okay.
I would now put him ahead of Brady. I would put him ahead of Justin Herbert, and I would probably put him ahead of Aaron Rodgers. So he's going to be at roughly 7 for me.
Okay.
They're going to throw a shit load.
Yes, they will.
And you can get him at a value that's just far better than any of the quarterbacks in front of him. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks to take this year.
Yeah.
Because I can get him in a place that I like taking a quarterback and still have the high-end upside. Because I think they're going to have a boatload of scoring plays this year.
His current ADP, according to the fantasy football calculator, is the 11th pick of the 7th round.
I wish that was a little lower. And I think with the Cam Akers news, the public will trend off of him not having Akers because they're going to think that you don't have to stack the box to stop the running back.
That's a mistake.
I don't disagree. Live by the Jeremy methodology of when the public goes one way, you go the other.
Right.
So I think that's going to come down a little bit.
Yeah. Matt Stafford he's a guy that he has a big arm and he's very, very accurate. His true completion percentage, taking out all of the throwaways, is 79.2%. He's a top 10 quarterback when it comes to throwing accurately and throwing the deep ball accurately, especially. Do you know how many passes his wide receivers dropped last year in Detroit?
147,000.
It was 84. He had 84 passes dropped last year by the Detroit Lions. Now, conversely, do you think he is a more accurate, better quarterback than Jared Goff?
More accurate, unless you're talking about crossing routes over the middle, I'll take Matthew Stafford. He's a better quarterback. I still think it's a huge difference everybody makes it out to be.
Okay.
It's just different. It opens up the offense a little bit more because he has a much better deep ball arm. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want you to be very cautious of, he's been a dome guy for a really long time.
True.
And he's been one of those Drew Breesy type guys that domes. We like domes. Just remember that he does have to go to Seattle. He does have to go to San Francisco, which is an odd place to play from what I've been told. You do get Arizona, which is in a dome. Just understand there's gonna be growing pains. I think he will be good by the end of the year, which is when I need him to be good. I need him to be himself until about week 12.
Right. But where I was headed with that Jared Goff thing is if you think that he's better than Jared Goff, which I think most of us do, last year with these same weapons, Jared Goff had 33 passes dropped. That was it. You give Matt Stafford sure-handed receivers, and he's had one or two of those in his career in Detroit. He's never really had a good core like this.
No.
And I think, part of me wants to say that the folks that are getting in on Matt Stafford in the MVP gambling, that might be worth a shot.
I don't hate it as a flyer. I might throw a dart at it.
Okay. Because I remember when that discussion started in this offseason, you were like, whoa, that's not going to happen. But as time goes on, now you're getting more and more convinced. Exactly.
It's more realistic.
Exactly. Now, my fade is Daryl Henderson.
Because you think the hype on him is going to get ridiculous.
I think it already has. They did a mock draft, a 10-team mock draft on ESPN. And after the Cam Akers injury, he went in the 4th round. To me, that's dumb. Because you don't know what this guy is. I mean, we've seen him be a good substitute in LA. But we haven't seen him get full workload. And everybody seems to be under the impression that they have to add an outside piece. They need somebody else.
They don't seem to agree with you.
The reports coming from the team and that we're all in and we're not, it's a non-starter to talk to Todd Gurley and all of, I've read all of that as well. It's just, I don't know. I don't know that he is going to be the only piece there. They probably will add somebody else, and that would scare me, especially if I'm going to have to take him in the 4th round in a 10-team draft.
It doesn't scare me all that much.
That's too much for me.
It really doesn't. Let me put it this way. Last year, he had more than 12 carries in 4 games.
Okay.
He had 10, 9, 22, and 19. And he had 20 and a half in a game that he had 12.
Mm-hmm.
That's with close to the workload he's going to get here. And other than that, he's never really had games like that in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not averse to it. I would rather have him than, say, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But I think there's going to be some kind of split with Raymond Clay, a guy that I liked coming into the draft. There's another running back whose name is eluding me right now. Funk is stuck in my head. Is that why
Xavier Jones?
No, there's a running back named Funk on this team.
Yeah, Jake Funk.
Jake Funk. That's why Jonathan Welch said, we want the Funk, got to have that Funk. Now I get it. Now I get it. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had to pick another running back on that team, it's Raymond Clay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I think when the cream rises to the top, he'll be the second back. I liked him a lot, and I said he was very pro-ready coming in. So.
Right.
I don't think they're as bereft at running back as everybody else does. I think there is a path to them still being a good running team. And Sean McVay wants to run the ball, whether people believe that or not.
Mm-hmm.
My fade is Cooper Kupp.
Okay, why?
Because I hate where he's going. Name me a slot receiver that's ever been great with Matthew Stafford. I'll wait.
Can't do it.
Name me a tight end that's ever been great with Matthew Stafford. I'll wait.
Brandon Pettigrew.
He broke
7 games.
He broke Eric Ebron. I don't buy it. Matthew Stafford's an outside guy passer, which is why I love Robert Woods and I'm out on Cooper Kupp. I see Cooper Kupp being very Marvin Jonesy, and you're having to take him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Okay. I was going to say Marvin Jones wasn't bad with Matt Stafford. He was in 5th round.
He was
quality.
inconsistent as hell, which is what I think you're going to get out of Cooper Kupp.
2021 fantasy fades and faves. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. This is a
Said
team.
it wrong.
What?
Said it wrong.
Oh, excuse me. The best team in the NFC, the Arizona Cardinals.
There you go. So that's so damn hard.
We're going to have to do this for another year like we do with the Denver Nuggets.
We have a vehement disagreement on Chase Edmonds.
Yeah. And James Conner is your favorite? Is that what that says?
Are you blind as fuck?
I am blind as fuck.
That's your fade.
Oh, that's mine. Excuse me. I'm getting confused by the colors here.
Stay gold, pony boy.
Stay
That
gold,
help?
pony boy.
You're gold, I'm white.
Okay, so you've got Chase Edmonds as your fade. I see.
Yes.
He's my favorite. I have this blind belief that Chase Edmonds is the running back to have in Arizona.
I don't want any running back in Arizona.
To me, he was when Kenyon Drake was there. I think he's been the more talented running back on that roster for the last 2 years. And he's finally got his opportunity to be the number 1 guy. I believe that he will live up to every hype that there is out there.
You done?
The best thing is there isn't a whole lot of hype.
And there's a reason.
Yeah, I disagree.
There's
and you
a
can
reason.
get him for a steal.
I don't hate his ADP. He just can't be my fave. You know why?
Why?
2 years with Cliff Kingsbury. How many carries does he have? Total in 2 years.
160.
157. God almighty, you got close to that.
I've looked at his stat lines a lot going, how's this going to happen?
Well, and here's the scary part. 27 of them were in one game. 25 were in another. Cliff Kingsbury has never trusted him for any extended period of time. Ever. It's never happened for more than one game at a time. And now, with James Conner, a guy that has starting experience in the NFL, being brought in here, you think they're just going to blindly give the ball to Chase Edmonds. I don't buy it, not even a little bit. Do I think he's the most talented running back? By a mile. Do I think Cliff Kingsbury's a bad coach? 100% I do. But at the end of the day, none of that shit matters because the guy calling the plays is Cliff Kingsbury. And if you want to take the risk on a guy that may or may not see more than 12 carries a game in the 5th round, 5th, 6th round, whatever, more power to you. I'll take him in the 8th. I'll take him as my 4th running back, as a lottery ticket. I'm not taking him where he's going right now.
I'm trying to look at the ADP here where they have him in the most recent.
The last I saw was
12th pick in the 5th round.
I was about to say, the last I saw was the beginning of the 6th.
Yeah.
And I'm just good. You know, looking at the guys that are around him there, I like Damian Harris better. And there's not a whole lot by the time you get there, but he would need to fall for me. Because I'm not taking him over Melvin Gordon. I'm sure as hell not taking him over Mike Davis. There is too many range of outcomes that he ends up as a RB3
with the Cliff
that you
King,
took way too high and you play too many times and he poops in his pants every time you play him.
Right.
I'm good.
One thing I will say about him in this Cliff Kingsbury offense, though, is that he is the more versatile of the two backs. And that could have been the thing that was holding him back when Kenyon Drake was in town because Kenyon Drake's that as well. He can be the pass-catching back. He can be all of the things. James Conner's not gonna be targeted in the passing game. And so that can be a huge opportunity for him to get a lot of PPR points this year. I think there's great upside to Chase Edmonds. I will agree with you. There are a couple of guys there in the 5th round, if it comes up and he's there, that I would take ahead of him, but it's not going to be long. It won't take long for me to go, yeah, you let him stay one more round. You let him stay, 2 more rounds. I'm in.
I'm trying to figure out where you got that James Conner can't catch. He's had 35 receptions both of the last 2 years.
Okay.
And last year, his catch rate was 94%.
Who was he competing with?
Jaylen Samuels. You know, the guy that played tight end in fucking college?
And who hasn't done anything with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Hands.
Now, I'm just telling you, if you don't think that there's going to be some passing down work from James Conner, I got a bridge to sell you.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, that's not your path to righteousness with Chase Edmonds. If you want to go down this, he's going to be good path. It's that he gets 15 to 18 carries a game, and James Conner is the spellback that comes in and does take the passing down work. Some of it. I mean, this team's going to throw so much that they could sustain 2 pass-catching running backs.
Yep.
But he's going to have – it's not like he's going to have 4 catches this year. I would say James Conner probably has more catches this year than he did last year.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't know about that. And James Conner's my fade because I think
he sucks.
I think
he sucks at football.
Everybody's hinging on what he did 3 years ago. He
well,
scored
here's the one thing I will say.
3 years ago. In the last 2 years, he's combined for that.
Well, here's the thing. Last year, nobody in Pittsburgh could run at all. So there is a possibility that James Conner comes in here and he's the better of the 2 running backs. I don't see the path to that. But there is a path that Cliff Kingsbury believes that. And he's the only one that matters. What we think doesn't mean shit. We can sit here and go, Chase Edmonds is such a talented running back. If Cliff Kingsbury doesn't believe it, he's going to be a big old turd burger for you.
Right.
And that's what I'm afraid of, and that's why I'm more or less just avoiding it.
Okay.
He's my fade from this team. James Conner's yours. My fave on this team is a guy that I think I've said this name no less than 406 times.
Rondale Moore.
Rondale Moore. He's really, really good. And Larry Fitzgerald, it appears, is not going to come back.
Okay.
I feel like if he was, we would already know that by now. Even if he does, he's a 38-year-old wide receiver, and A.J. Greene breaks every time the wind blows. I see a path of Rondale Moore being the 2 in Arizona, and if he is, he's going to be markedly better than the 14th round pick he is right now. He is super talented. He plays bigger than he is. I loved this kid in the pre-draft process. I basically said he's a much more aggressive version of what Randall Cobb was in Green Bay. You pair that with Kyler Murray, and you give it to me in the 14th round or 15th round or wherever he's going right now. Yeah, I can deal with that. He's supplanted Christian Kirk. Now, ideally, what I would love to see is A.J. Greene decides, hey, I want to be a coach and not play. And Rondale Moore can be the 2 and Christian Kirk can be the 3. That'd make me real happy.
That's not going to happen.
That'd tickle my pickle a bunch. But it's not going to happen.
No.
So you got to pick one of them, and mine's Rondale Moore.
Rondale Moore and A.J. Greene, where are they matched up on the ADP right now?
A.J. Greene currently, by the way, this is one of the reasons I don't use Fantasy Pros. A.J. Greene in Yahoo is ranked 3,178th, I think is the number that I remember seeing.
Okay.
So you can't really take his ADP because he goes undrafted in every Yahoo league.
Right.
Unless you specifically go to find him, he goes undrafted. So, A.J. Green's undrafted right now. Rondale Moore's about the 14th, 15th round. It's obviously skewed a little bit because of dynasty drafts and shit because he goes so high in those.
Yes.
Rookies are hard to gauge with ADP.
Yeah. I'm going to be all in on Rondale Moore.
I'm all in.
A.J. Greene as well. I'm still holding out hope.
I think he can be
for
fine.
one last pop.
I think he's a draftable wide receiver.
I would agree with that as well.
Looking at current ADPs, I would put A.J. Greene somewhere in the 12th round, about where I'd take him. I'd take him over Cole Beasley. I'd take him over Marvin Jones. I would take Darnell Mooney probably over him. Currently, A.J. Green's his across all platforms ADP is at the very end of the 13th round.
Rob Johnson says Kyler Murray is the RB1 for
That's
this
fine.
team.
I'm fine with that. That's another thing to think about.
He did over 6 yards a carry last year.
That is another thing to think about, though, is that you're hinging on a running back. You got a running back playing quarterback. It just so happens to have a pretty good arm.
Yeah. 2021 Fantasy Faves and Fades. Oh, let's talk about the 49ers.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Fantasy Faves and Fades. I went with Raheem Mostert as my favorite. I think it's just absolutely stupid right now that people are hinging on Trey Sermon.
Trey Sermon's my fade, so you're going to get no disagreement from me. Trey Sermon's going in the fucking 7th round at this point, which is just mind-boggling to me.
Right, and it's only, one round behind where Raheem Mostert's going.
Raheem's going in the 5th as of right now. Best you can expect to get him's in the 6th, which is where I like him. He's not a fave or a fade for me. I like him better than a lot of the running backs that you can get around him, like Chase Edmonds. I'd rather have him than Chase Edmonds. And that's not even, I don't even think it's all that close. I would rather have let's say he gets, the injury issues take hold. I would rather have the 8 games of healthy Raheem Mostert than trying to guess when Chase Edmonds is going to be that guy.
I do like Raheem Mostert better than Chase Edmonds. I will give you that. But he's also a guy that late in the draft, or not late in the draft, late in the running back draft, because those rounds go pretty quickly. He is the guy that you can find the most value in. If he's completely healthy this year and can stay healthy, he's got a very, very high ceiling in this offense.
He does.
Now, your favorite.
Mine's Debo.
Is Debo Samuel.
I love me some Debo. Watch the tape on him. He jumps off the screen as a guy that never catches passes down the field. His yards at the catch is like, it's something dumb as piss. It's like, I think he catches the ball like on average 1.7 yards away from the line of scrimmage or some shit like that. Because he catches so many screens and then he turns into a glorified running back. And I love that. Obviously, the one fear with Deebo Samuel is health. If you told me he was healthy for 17 games, I would say he falls into top 25. Could be top 20. Wouldn't shock me in the least.
Right.
Because he can throw up he's just an electric player. The problem is that you just don't hardly ever see it because he never plays.
Right. My fate on this team is Brandon Ayouk. He's the one guy that I look at his ADP right now and go, there are a whole bunch of wide receivers going in that same spot that I would trust more than Brandon Ayouk. I like the guy. If he falls in the draft, sure, I will take him, but I'm not taking him in the 6th round. To me, that's just too high. And I get that he came on at the end of last year and had a great finish to the year. But you also have to remember he was the only wide receiver that they had at that point.
I disagree with you aggressively.
Deebo Samuel was hurt. George Kittle was hurt. And so he got more looks.
I could not disagree with you more.
Okay.
I think Brandon Ayouk is a very good player. I liked him coming out. I watched a lot of film on him at Arizona State. Here's the thing with Ayouk, that he's consistent. I'll tell you another thing that doesn't seem to be registering. They play the easiest schedule for wide receivers in the NFL. There's no schedule in the NFL that's better for a wide receiver than what San Francisco plays, which is why I'm in on Deebo. I'm in on Ayouk. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is the starter for, I would say, worst case scenario for 12 of the 17 games. And I think for it not to be that, it would have to go terribly, which I don't see.
But do you think there's a lot of upside? Because right now he's going as a wide receiver 2. And do you
I'm okay
think
with him as a 2.
You're okay with him as 2?
I'm okay with him as a 2. I'm okay with Deebo as a 2. Deebo's fear is the health. Ayouk's is, I don't know that you're going to get to a point where there's too many mouths to feed in this offense, but I think 3 is the limit. And right now you only got 3. You don't have to worry about anybody else on this team. So it's going to be a lot of play action, a lot of 12 personnel, and I'm okay with that. I'm just fine with that. I like Ayouk. I wish he was going a little later than he is, but I mean, he's going right around T. Higgins. I'd rather have Brandon Ayouk than T. Higgins. This is not close. Devontae Smith, I'd rather have Ayouk. DJ Chark, Ayouk again. Cortland Sutton. Frankly, there's not a receiver going behind him that I would rather have that guy than Ayouk.
You'd rather have Ayouk than Cortland Sutton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, because I get Jimmy Garoppolo and you get some combination of Teddy Locke or Drew Bridgewater, and I'll piss.
Okay. See, here's my thing with Ayouk. I will just wait. If I think I need another wide receiver and I want a San Francisco wide receiver, let me wait. I'm going to wait 2 rounds and get Deebo. Because I don't see a great difference between the two of them, and I do kind of like Deebo better.
Michael Whiteside said in the comments that he's a 49ers fan. There were multiple articles out yesterday that expect Lance to start. I've said that for a long time because I can't figure out how in the hell you give up that much draft capital for a guy you're going to redshirt.
Yeah.
When you're a contender.
Contenders don't usually have top 3 picks, though.
Yeah, because they don't trade up there.
Right.
They don't trade up there to go get them. Look at how much they gave up to get up there.
Yeah.
I've said that for a long time. The narrative inside media circles has become Jimmy's going to be the starter. What I thought was going to happen is Jimmy was going to wind up being the backup in New York to Zach Wilson. That's what I thought was going to happen. It's what I kept getting told was going to happen. Because there was such a comfort with LaFleur.
Mike LaFleur.
And the contract's not that onerous if he's traded, on and on and on. Doesn't appear that's going to happen. I would say Garoppolo's the starter, and away we go.
Yeah.
I was trying to be spicy with the Trey Lance thing because I'd heard a lot of the same shit.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how you give that much up for a guy that you're going to sit for a year, but they appear to. Now, if you told me Trey Lance was the starter, Week 1, I take everything back that I said about Deebo Samuel, and I would be hard Peter crew on Brandon Ayook. Brandon Ayook would get into my top 18, 16.
Why?
Because Trey Lance has a cannon. I mean a cannon. And you remember the thing I just said about Deebo Samuel catching balls very close to the line of scrimmage?
Yep.
Okay, you have 2 wide receivers. One's a deep ball guy. One's a DJ Moore type screen pass, drag route guy. I'm not going to like the drag route guy with Trey Lance. I'm going to like the deep ball guy.
All right. I think it's Jimmy Garoppolo as well. If they end up going with Trey Lance, though, I mean, that could throw a lot of things into a whirlwind.
I don't think it's going to happen, but if they did.
Could there still be a trade?
I don't think so. I think if there's a trade quarterback-wise, it's not this. We'll get into that later. It has nothing to do with this division. So.
Right. All right.
I do have to comment on Trey Sermon. Taking him in the 8th round, stupid. If you don't want to listen to me, that's fine, but I am the draft guy. I deep dive these guys more than damn near anybody you're ever going to hear. And the Trey Sermon hype has gotten stupid. He's going to be a better real-life football player than he is fantasy football player. You mark my words and remember that I said that. Because he's going to be the spell back to Mostert. He might catch a little bit of receiving work, but I'm going to level with you. Just humor me for a second, because I just got to pull up the number here because I accidentally closed it out when I was opening all the other shit. That one. How many targets do you think any running back for the San Francisco 49ers, the most any running back had last year, who was it?
Jeff Wilson?
Nope. Jeff Wilson was 3.
Among running backs? Mm-hmm. With them?
Kyle Juszczyk was 2. Jarrett McKinnon was 1.
Him. Jarrett McKinnon?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The most any running back has had, most targets any running back has had for the San Francisco 49ers since Kyle Shanahan became the damn coach. Because he got there in, 2018? Mm-hmm. Because he didn't have Carlos Hyde.
I think that's right.
I think that's right. This is what happens when I accidentally fuck up and close a window. Kyle Shanahan has been there since 2017. So since 2018, he had Carlos Hyde the first year, who actually did get targets. Since then, the most targets any running backs had in this offense is 40, and it was Kyle Juszczyk. So if you think Trey Sermon's the passing down back, good luck to you. Kyle Juszczyk had 40. Jarrett McKinnon had 44 or 42 or something like that last year. That's it. You're looking at 2 targets a game. That's what you're drafting in the 8th round. Congratulations. I'm going to keep drafting Damian Harris, who will get 18 touches a game. Mm-hmm. I am Seacrest out on Trey Sermon.
2021 Fantasy Faves and Fades for the Seattle Seahawks. My favorite for the Seahawks is Tyler Lockett.
And he's my fade.
Are we going to fight a lot about this?
Probably.
To me, Tyler Lockett is Russ Wilson can cook. Mm-hmm. And he's got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett catches a lot of balls. And when he gets catchable targets, he doesn't drop them. He's a guy that I really, really like, and I just think I'm not going to be in on DK Metcalf.
You're
more
wrong.
Than likely.
God, you're wrong.
Why?
Jesus, Jehovah, you're wrong on this.
Why?
All right, let's a fun game.
I am not. Here's the thing. I'm not. I don't normally take wide receivers that high in a draft anyway. I'm usually ready to take one.
Third round guy.
Beginning
of the third.
Okay, I'm usually ready to take one about the Tyler Lockett time, about that 5th round.
That's too late. You need at least one by then. And that's coming from a guy that's told you I'm taking a tight end in the first 2 rounds. Mm-hmm. Tyler Lockett in PPR leagues last year had 265.5 points. Mm-hmm. 130 of them came in 3 games. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He had 7 single-digit games last year. That's half the damn season. And you're taking him as a 1. I feel that for Tyler Lockett, to me, he is a matchup-dependent, bottom-end wide receiver, too. I much prefer him as a 3. By the way, second toughest schedule in the league for receivers is the Seattle Seahawks. I won't have Tyler Lockett anywhere. And I like him. I like the talent. Problem is now there's a litany of problems. One, you just drafted a guy in the second round with virtually no draft capital. You took a guy in the second round that does the exact same thing Tyler Lockett does.
Dwayne Eskridge.
Go fast, don't turn left many times. Because he's the new deep threat, which means Tyler Lockett's going to work out of the slot as the in-between guy. I don't like his life
expectancy.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. Going across the middle. Because Dwayne Eskridge is the deep guy because he can't do virtually anything else. He's a 9-route receiver, and they're going to use him. They took him in the second round for a damn reason. So there is no path that I get to Tyler Lockett. And looking at his ADP right now, holy good Lord. Do you realize that Tyler Lockett is currently going ahead of Deontay Johnson, drunk.
Yep.
Odell Beckham Jr., drunk. DJ Moore, drunk. And then it becomes debatable. I would still take Ayook over him. And I would take Claypool over him. He's right there in that T. Higgins class for me. He's about a 7th-round pick that you're having to take in the back into the 4th, beginning of the 5th. I'm good. I'm going to let you have that one. Best ball, all the way in. Tyler Lockett, I will, if he's there in the 6th round of a best ball draft, I will just thump her under the table about how happy I am about Tyler Lockett. In terms of a guy, I have to figure out when he's going to have these weeks against this tough of a schedule. Yeah, I'm going to let you deal with that because that sounds like a headache.
I'm all in on Tyler Lockett. I like him. They just and Russ wants him around, and I think he's going to use him a lot.
Beatty wants him around. Here's my problem.
They just paid him a bunch. So.
Yeah, he also had 10 games where he wasn't a startable receiver last year. He was outside of the top 24 at wide receiver 10 of 16 games last year. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that Bootsy shit. Because what that means is DK is the unquestioned number 1. And Tyler's going to be matchup dependent. And I'm good. I love him in DFS. I'll have him probably multiple times in DraftKings, FanDuel, Monkey Knife Fight, all those things this year.
Yep.
I will not have him in season long anywhere.
Okay. Who's your fave?
My fave for the Seattle Seahawks, I went spicy, Russell. I feel like it couldn't be anybody else because I've banged this drum so loud for Russell being drafted too low by comparison to the Justin Herberts, Matthew Staffords, guys like that. Russell Wilson to me is the unquestioned, undoubtable number 3 quarterback in fantasy football this year. Because I go Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson. And him and I shouldn't have said unquestioned because him and Lamar are close. There is a big drop-off to me after Dak at 5. If I'm going to take an early quarterback, it will be one of those 5. And Russell's the one I'm getting the latest. So I will be all in on him. My fade, or your fade. It wasn't on the screen that time. I at least didn't get confused by the colors.
The colors, yeah.
I agree with your fade, too. It's Chris Carson.
It's Chris Carson, yeah.
Chris Carson is going at a level that he doesn't belong in.
He is, according to the fantasy football calculator, he's RB 19, I think. 16.
Yeah, he's 16.
He's 16. And to me, there's no upside there.
No.
When I'm drafting a guy, I want there to be, I'm going to draft him where I get him and hope that he performs better. There's zero upside for me at RB 16 in the 3rd round.
3 or less catches in every game but 2 last year. Didn't break 20 attempts, not one time. Touchdowns, they're cyclical. I mean, he had 4 receiving touchdowns, which is par for the course, or even maybe a little high for him. He had 5 rushing touchdowns. For him to get to where he needs to be with the workload he's going to get. By the way, that was with no Rashad Penny. There was no Penny last year, and you were still that.
Mm-hmm. And now they're
and
talking,
I think Rashad Penny's going to have a role on this team.
I was going to say, now
and
they're
DJ
about,
Dallas.
There is a role for Penny now.
Yeah. So I can't. I will another one. I will have nowhere.
Yep. I will be completely out because the guys that are going around. I mean, I would even.
Ooh, Michael Watson just had a brilliant idea.
What did he say?
Can we do a league where Tank and Jeremy select from their list of faves and see which one comes out on top? I know what I want to do. I want to play DraftKings against you, and the only thing we can take are players off our faves list, and we'll do it all year long.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna skull rack. I'm gonna skull rack you.
I wish I'd have gone spicier with all of my.
Actually, you're gonna like it that way, but you're not gonna like how I will. There will be weeks that I drag you down the sidewalk. Although I do have a lot of Josh Palmers, so
yeah.
We leveled the playing field pretty aggressively because I have some dart throws that you didn't have.
This is very true. All right, I like this idea.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. The weekly DFS faves and fades contest.
Yeah, we'll basically have a DFS roster that's 32 players. It's the 32 we picked. We can pick from them every week. Mm-hmm. It'll be a segment on the fantasy show. I like that. Michael Whiteside, Kevin Vick, Memorial Bell.
Good idea.
I love genius ideas.
All right, let's recap here the 2021 fantasy faves and fades for the NFC West. We're both in agreement that Matt Stafford is a good value right now. His ADP has gone up a little bit since the Cam Akers thing, but he's got the potential to be an MVP candidate in my opinion. You're fading Cooper Kupp this year. You don't like slot receivers with Matt Stafford. I'm down on Daryl Henderson because
I mean, other than Golden Tate, he's never really had a slot receiver that was
right.
And Cooper Kupp's going too high for me.
Mm-hmm. Daryl Henderson, to me, I think they are going to look outside to do something else with that running back position. He's still going to be there, but I don't like him going in the 4th round if that's where you have to take him now that Cam Akers is down for the season.
Yeah, that's I don't love him where he's going, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
Then 2 other teams in this division, you're all in on Chase Edmonds and Tyler Lockett, and I'm all out.
Yep.
I can't see getting to them where they're being drafted right now. Conversely, I love Rondale Moore and Russell Wilson on those 2 teams. Mm-hmm. You're down on James Conner and Chris Carson, and I agree with you on both.